Pencil and paper, please. So I wrote down here 5 habits of defective real estate agents. Normally we do 5 habits of great agents. This is going to be, we're looking at this from the other way, to the other lens. 5 habits of defective agents. So I wrote down here, most agents come into the real estate business, with energy, enthusiasm, and high hopes. Some of them do great, right? Say yes.
Yes.
Some do great, while others don't do as well, or worse, kind of leave the business. All right? So here's 5 points as to what might keep you A, in the business, and B, going to your next level. Okay? Things to avoid. So let's talk about the first one. No structure and lack of discipline. No structure or low structure, no structure or lack of discipline. If you had, let me ask you a question. If you had a conventional sales job, all right? Let's call it a real job, all right? And they were paying you $16,000 a month. $16,000 a month. That's the equivalent. 16,666 is equivalent to $200,000 a year. Okay? 16,666 per month is equivalent to $200,000 a year. A lot of you, your goals are at least $200,000 a year, right? Say yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's what we need. So think about this. What would your boss expect of you? What would the boss expect if he was writing you a check for $16,000 a month? What would they expect? Would they expect you to be on time?
Yes.
Okay. Would they expect you to put in the plus side of 8 hours a day on a regular basis?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Would they expect you, if they gave you a job description, show up, be on time, work on this, call, let's say if they said to call 40 people a day, would they expect you to call and talk to 40 people a day? Yes or no?
Yes.
So why do you think in real estate that doesn't necessarily happen on a regular basis from some people trying to earn $200,000 a year? What happens?
There's no accountability.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that. That's part of it. But we have no structure and lack of business, or lack of discipline, which gives you lack of business. All right, so I wrote down here, some agents come into the business and they forget that they have a job. They forget they have a job because they don't have a boss. They have a boss, but they don't have a boss. So the plus side of being in this business is being an independent contractor. The minus side of being in this business is being an independent contractor. Because you don't, I mean, we were here this morning. I was here at 5 minutes to 8, okay? Because I don't want to be late for the 8:30 call to action that I put out there. Okay? Some of you were here, some were not. Some said they were going to be here with me. They didn't show. What's that about? But Neil, I want to make $200,000 a year. But I don't do the activities to do that on a regular basis. Successful agents make sure they preview properties and prospect. So, how many times have I asked you to preview property on a regular basis?
Million times.
Then that's not an estimate, right? Maybe 1 million too, right?
Million too.
Okay, so can previewing property help you in your business?
Yes.
or no? Yeah.
Yes.
Why? Knowledge equals confidence, right? And you have confidence, then you feel stronger about presenting. Here's a perfect example. I have this talk. It's written down. I have certain lines that I do, but I'm knowledgeable about the subject matter, and I've reviewed the subject matter. I've spent an extra hour or two going over this making sure that I have the material and that I can present it, and that I can present it at a decent enough level, and that I dress for the part, I look the part, I worked out this morning so that I had energy for you this afternoon. That's all pieces to the puzzle. Because if I came in here and I looked a little disheveled, and I didn't have a jacket on, and I, like this, and my hair wasn't combed, but you can't really tell if my hair's combed or not. But it is, okay? I actually put a brush through it, really did. I clean my glasses, and you try to look presentable. I try to make a presentation. I try to do it with energy. Or I could come up here and say, hi, how's your day? How you doing? So, I heard you made some phone calls today. How was that? So is that who you want?
No.
No, you want this energy, right?
Yes.
Okay, you need to prepare for that energy. It needs to come out that way, all right? So, I wrote down here, you have to be disciplined and you have to be self-motivated. You have to let others in your world know that because you don't, even though you don't punch a time clock, okay, you still need to be at work, you still need to be not disturbed, and you still need to be focused for certain periods of time to get your job done. Okay? It's critical. So that's one of the things. Habits, no structure and lack of discipline. The next thing I wrote down here is no systems. So write down no systems. Successful businesses have one thing in common. Systems. Successful businesses have one thing, they have many things in common, but one of them is that they have systems. Systems allow a person or a company to create predictable and duplicatable results. If you do this many times at this level and say these things, you should get this result. We do this all the time, okay? And we prove it all the time. Prove it every single week. When you do what you're supposed to do at this level, you get the results, okay? Maybe it doesn't happen every week, but it happens every 2 weeks, or it happens once a month. At the end of the year, you get your 12 deals, your 15 deals, your 20, your 22 deals. And if you do them in this price range, more times than you do it in this price range, you end up with a little bit more money per transaction, and that's a good thing too, right? Say yes.
Yes.
All right, so no systems. So real estate agents must create systems for lead generation, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, they need to have a lead follow-up system. So I sent an email out today talking about lead follow-up. By the way, just a complete side note, I've been sending out what I call classic meal. So this is stuff that I've recorded over time, some of it fairly new, some of it fairly old, but it's on a particular topic. Does that help you guys at all?
Yes.
You guys, okay, that's working? All right, good. Okay, so we need to create a system for listing presentation appointments. When you get an appointment, what are the activities that you do? Pre-qualifying. System for pre-qualifying appointments. Buyers and sellers. System for pre-qualifying buyers and sellers. I wrote down here, negotiating contracts. There's a system for negotiating contracts. What do you do first? What clauses do you make sure that are in there? Do you make sure that the termite report is considered or not considered? Do you do your reports before you do the inspection? You do your inspections before you put the property on the market? It's another strategy. By the way, a strategy I subscribe to. Been 40-something years in the business. I think that whole get the reports done, present it to everybody, and get them to agree or disagree on what the deal is and let them make an offer after that is absolutely the best way to go. Okay? I'm going to say it in every case, but almost every case. Okay?
You're talking about termite only or both home inspection? and
Home
termite?
inspection and termite.
Okay.
I'm telling you, the sellers will come out with more money and you will spend less fixing stuff. Okay, it is a great strategy. Negotiating contracts, pending transactions, tracking your numbers, and practicing role play. All of those need systems and need follow-up. The third thing I wrote down here is accountability. Without a traditional boss, there's no one to hold you accountable. You need accountability. You need somebody holding your feet to the fire for some type of accountability. Some of us have more difficulty with that than others. However, every agent that I coach, every agent that Mike coaches, every agent that Dave and Robert and Diane coach, that do the numbers to a decent degree are all getting better every month or two. Right, Dave?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay? We have this conversation all the time with the coaches. I have this conversation with Mike all the time. You track your numbers, you will work to get better. Okay? And then it becomes how fast. All right? Track the numbers. And we have an accountability system that you can use, plug in, and there's no charge for it. So it's available to you. Agents need to stay focused on their goals and hold themselves accountable for working their schedule. I made a note here. If you're committed to making 40 contacts during a prospecting session, hang in there. Don't stop at 39. And remind yourself that quitting is not an option. The agents that don't do what they're supposed to do on a regular basis are the ones that complain the most to me and say, but I do this, I do it on a regular basis. Okay, let's look at your numbers, let's look at the accountability. And in every single case, their numbers are short. Every case, no exceptions. I haven't met an agent yet that did the numbers and did their numbers, did their role play, did their scripts and dialogues, previewed property. You know, in other words, you have to do all the pieces. Okay, you can't just make contacts and not use a script. You know, hey, you want to sell your house? I didn't think so. Boom. Hey, you want to sell your house? I didn't think so. Boom. You know, 2,500 of those a month isn't going to get you much. Okay? Right? Not previewing property when you say, hi, you know, noticed your home came up for sale, and I was curious, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home? Well, we don't know, we're looking for the right agent. You know, we had a lot of people come through. Well, you're the 3-bedroom, 2-bath on the cul-de-sac, right? Right. I did happen to see your house when it was available. I'm really not sure why it didn't sell. I'd like to come by and let's walk through it together and see if we can find some things that are wrong. Oh, I don't know, you know, I don't know. Well, there was actually 4 other properties that sold in and around your area in the last 60 days. I know we can help you get yours sold. Why don't I come by? But you have to have seen the properties, and you have to know the inventory, and then you can talk like a professional. Weird, huh? But we'll move on. That one's no good. Okay? They have no accountability. We talked about no systems. We talked about no accountability. Hold on. I'm missing 4. Here's 5. Not being honest with themselves. Ooh. Agents don't do well because they're not honest with themselves. If you only make a few calls during your prospecting hour, but you tell your broker coach that you've done more,
Does that really happen?
not you guys. Okay? Not you guys. But the truth is, it does happen. I want to look good to my coach, so I'm supposed to do 35 contacts a day. Okay? So you say, well, I did 35 today, and I did 35 yesterday, and I did 30, well, I only did 30 yet tomorrow, but who's going to know?
Nobody.
Who's going to really know? With the systems that we, right, I mean, some of our machines count, some of the systems count, but for the most part, I mean, you can even fudge that. I actually learned that I could fudge this.
Wow.
No, well, that's part of it, but you actually, I didn't wear it for a day. And it bothered me that I lost those 15,000 steps. Bothered me. And it wasn't in the system, and I compete with 6 or 8 other people. So that 15,000 was lost, and I couldn't make it up. So, because once you get past 12 o'clock, it's on the new time. Okay? So you can't do anything with it. So I actually went into YouTube and asked the question, you know, how to, and I found it. And it's not a big deal. It's there for that reason. There's actually it's a screen that you go to, and then you manually, it says, you know, manual input. You manually input it on the day that you missed, and it locks it in. So then, of course, I got to thinking, well, if I really want to beat these people, no. But you can fudge stuff. You can fudge stuff all the time, okay? But who are you kidding?
Yourself. Yeah.
Who are you kidding? So, you know, you've got to be honest with themselves. If you're telling yourself what you want to hear, you can't expect improvement. Remember, you are where you are because it's okay with you. My favorite saying. You are where you are at any level, whether it's income, whether it's investments, whether it's health, whether it's relationship, prospecting, previewing. You are where you are because it's okay with you. Because if it wasn't, what would you do?
Change it. Yeah. We have the option to do it.
You haven't. We have options.
Yeah.
So I wrote down here, the market is competitive. There is absolutely no question, at least up until right now, the number of listings in the marketplace this year over last year is less. Agree?
Yes.
Number of listings for sale in the marketplace are a few less listings in each of our markets than they were same time last year. Okay? So that's fact. Fact one. Fact two is there's more agents in our marketplaces than there were this time last year. Now, not tens of thousands, but certainly a few thousand over the entire marketplace. So, smaller market, more people eating on the market. What does that cause? More competition. Simply more competition. It's the same thing if there's less houses to buy for the buyers we have. That means that the prices are there's upward pressure on the pricing. Get that?
Yes.
Same exact thing. So the buyers are frustrated because they're paying more. How many properties are selling for more than list price? A lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of properties are selling for list price and more. We talk a little bit about that. Why does that happen? It happens because there are less properties, more buyers. Get it?
Demand is
Supply and demand.
Right.
Supply and demand. Okay? So, you have to work harder and smarter than your competition. What you did last year, back up. There, for years, maybe for 35 years I've been in the business. Generally speaking, if you did what you did last year, you'd probably get similar to this year. You made the same number of contacts, saw the same number of people, went on the same number of appointments. Generally speaking, you'd come out with about the same income and the same number of transactions. Okay? And the prices went up slightly, you made a few more dollars. It's not the case in the last 5 to 7 years. If you did what you did last year, this year you will make less. Something less. Okay? You see it happening. We see it in the numbers. If you do the same number of contacts and the same number of appointments and your skills don't change, you probably made something less this year. If you made a few more contacts and your skills got a little bit better and you previewed a few more properties and you went on a few more appointments, you made some more money. Okay? That's a fact. So the question is, right now, what are you going to do different for the balance of this week? What changes are you going to make? What focused things are you going to do? Mike talked to us last week. We've got to get better on our scripts. We've got to get better on our dialogues. You know, the question came up this morning, just before I had the call with my coaching call with Mike, and a couple of the guys were talking about, should I be the first agent to the listing appointment or the last agent to the listing appointment? Right, Gary?
First.
Or the last.
First or the last? Should I be first or last? Yes!
Either one.
Either one.
Just go.
So the question, so I asked Mike again, because see, Mike had taught me for 1,000 years that you're the last, okay?
Oh.
You want the last shot at this. But if you've got a real hustler over here, you don't have a shot at the appointment. That's another problem, okay? So what do you go? Do you go first, you go last? You go first, or you're last? Mike's answer.
First.
Last.
First, last, okay, we're close.
Or last.
First or last.
First.
You just have to be good.
There's the answer, Tess. You have to be the best. It doesn't matter where you go.
Okay.
You have to be the best. Because it all, you know, you can make a case for first and last. I can make a case for both. Strong case. But when you're the best, they're going to wait for you because you've had this conversation with them. Yeah, there's 3 other people in front of you. You know what? Don't worry. Don't worry. Just promise me that we're going to have this conversation because you won't regret being there. But I'm telling you, I could convince a seller more times than not to wait for me. I also could get in that presentation first before everybody else that's behind me, and probably convince most sellers to list with me before even having those other appointments. When you make the best presentation. I guarantee you, you know the name Karen Bernardi? Karen Bernardi goes before you, they won't ever talk to you. They will not talk to you. Neil Weichel, same thing. They don't talk to anybody else. They're that good. They're that good. We have to get that good. Do you get it?
Okay.
We have to get that good, Gene. We have to. That's how good we have to be. And those people do 200-300 transactions a year. They take mostly listings. They almost never work with a buyer. And over the last 20 years of following Mike Ferry, both of them have earned north of $50 million commission income selling houses. They're that good. So that tells me if somebody else did it, then I can do it too. Okay? If they did it, I can do it. Look, they're both pretty people, they're both nice people, they're both charismatic people, but they're people. They're people. And when they started, they were nowhere near where they are today.
Right.
Remember, every superstar started
Amateur.
at the bottom. At the bottom.
Right.
Every single one of them. So just remember that every day. But if you're not practicing every day, if you're not role-playing every day, if you're not previewing, all of this is a compounding effect. If you see 5 houses today, no one can ever take away what you saw. Tomorrow you see 5 more, so you get the compound of those 5 and these 5. Now I have 10, and I have an idea of what's going on in the marketplace. And then the next day, now I have 15. Imagine if you did that, you saw 100 houses a month, so that's 5 a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks in a year, it's 100 a month in one zip code. And you did that for 12 months. 12 different zip codes. How well would you know your market?
Very well. Very well.
And actually, the next year, you might not have to do 100 a month. Maybe you could back it down to 75, because you've already seen, because remember, some of these houses come back on the market 2 and 3 times over 3-4 years. You know, how many times do you need to see the same house? I guess if it says that it's upgraded, maybe you want to jump in and see what that looks like. But it's still the same. I'm telling you today, 40 years later, I used to go in caravan in Hacienda Heights. I would go every week. We'd see 15 to 25 houses a week. There are houses in Hacienda Heights today. I can walk you down the street and I can tell you what the floor plans are 40 years later in those houses. Now, I can't tell you what they look like because I don't know what the carpets are and the drapes are. I don't know what the painting is, and I get it that they might have an addition. But most houses, especially those in Hacienda Heights, were pretty big to begin with. One-level houses, people didn't change them that much. Think about it. We're going to be in this business a long time. So go out and do some previewing. Go out and build the muscle. And then make this the best week of your month. Thank you very much.